Welcome, everybody, to this live session. This is Up and to the Right. Increased feedback leads, acquisition by 10%. 10%. We have two of our favorite people in automotive joining us today, two really, really smart minds. They have a lot to share. So I will move along and stop talking. So you've got me. I'm Matthew, Chief Marketing Officer at TradePending. Durran, Mason, good to see you. Hello, say hi.
Hello,
Hey.
hello.
All right. As you guys know, we record this, we share it out afterwards. Use the Q&A button for discussion. We'll take as many questions as we can get to. If we can't get to it, we'll reach out to you afterwards as well too. You guys know the drill. You've been to a handful of these things before. So also, if you don't yet, follow us on social media. We've got some really big announcements coming out the next few days. If you're going to be a digital dealer, we are giving away a chainsaw there, so you should swing by the booth. You can't miss this one right by the entrance. Please don't hurt yourself. And with that being said, I'm going to stop my screen share here. I'm going to kick it over and let Durran and Mason introduce themselves and kind of just tell us how we ended up here today.
Yeah, man. Well, first and foremost, thank you so much for allowing us to be here. Thank you, TradePending team. Thank you to the valuable clients and the dealers and partners that you have that are on here. So let's kind of get right into it. So I'll get into here just a second about who I am and who Mason is. But, thinking about why we got here and looking at the pandemic and then fast forwarding to this rise of us creating this driver's seat company and first party data. It's exciting to see how with TradePending and integrating this email into what Mason has come to I guess be the champion of. He just got a recent award, and I'm not going to take too much into that. And I'd actually like to, if it's okay, I want Mason to quickly introduce yourself so they know who you are. Because if you guys know, you've seen me before as Durran at Cage Automotive, really around internet sales, CRM, and branding. But then I get to connect with Mason, who is so valuable in such an intellect in marketing, but also in an economic background. So quickly, Mason, if you're cool introducing yourself, and then we'll kind of chop into some quick wins and some things that's really going to help this audience.
Sounds good, Durran. I appreciate that insight, a little bit of insight. So I've spent a decade in mass market marketing for financial institutions, also on a one-to-one basis, making 300 calls a day, trying to land clients. So if there was a method or a way I could try to do something unique, I was always on the lookout for things like that, and I was very successful. I got introduced to the owners of the the Kraft brothers here in Tallahassee. I was still in Atlanta. I was in the middle trying to look for what I wanted to do next. And they convinced me, hey, try to do what you do for us, because dealerships are way behind and COVID just changed everything. Now everything's going digital. It's going that perspective. So I said, absolutely. I have to say, when I came in, I felt like my job was easy beyond belief, because I was instituting things that I already knew how to do with an industry that was 10 years behind everybody else. So the fun part is actually getting to where we are today, where Durran and I have come up with a few and unique different strategies that we're going to share to you guys completely for free. You take them and run with them, or you're welcome to get our help with them. But happy to be here today. Thanks again, Matt and TradePending, for having us.
Yeah, you bet. That's my favorite job to take. The one where like you already know how to do most things at the job and you come in and look like an instant hero. I wish that could happen everywhere. It makes me look great. But enough about me. Durran, back to you.
Yeah, so let's talk about what's the first thing that we're doing that's going to help dealerships at a very high level. So number one is utilizing CRM campaigns to go after and message your first party customers, right? So you see right now in the industry, there's third parties, you can put your money elsewhere. But we believe with driver's seat, let's get back in front of those most important people, and those are your customers. And so what we found by going after first party and communicating directly to them, that we've seen partners have a 28% increase in their be-back opportunities in customers, otherwise known as leads. I don't know about you all, but I'm not a big fan of using the word leads, because those customers have a pump. They have a heartbeat, right? And so a huge increase like that, instead of spending money all over the place, is a wise investment. Okay, number two, let's talk about expenses for a moment. I don't know if you've seen, but recently in 2022, NADA had showed that it was $695 per average customer acquired, right? Well, when you dial that back and go into marketing to your first party customers, again, right out of your own CRM, we found that you can reduce that cost to less than $6.95 an opportunity. And even for some of our customers, and we've seen our client partners get all the way down to $2. So again, you can see the flow here, right? I mean, you've got this weird market that we have going on. You're watching your pockets, you're watching your expenses. So you go back to your first party and look what you're able to do. Now, number three, what is this approach doing? Is it's creating opportunities where you can actually put personnel strategically to help you acquire inventory, because we know inventory is a big issue right now. So not only are we focused on communicating directly out of your CRM to your customer database, you will increase sales. You're going to get some feedbacks there. But what about the customers that just want to sell their vehicles? And what this has done is there's a lot of dealerships that are now putting acquisition managers in place, or, before you've seen BDCs kind of either going away with AI and all this other stuff. Now we're seeing BDCs actually growing with the innovation of AI because of the opportunities that we've been able to increase in the dealership showrooms and then virtual acquisition process. And then lastly, the fourth thing that it's offered dealer partners by going back to our first party is also your service lane. And so by increasing the ROs and the traffic to your service department, again, we can strategically put people in place at the service drive. And there's so many great tools, also with trade pending, but there's so many great tools where you can work that service lane, get your humans out there, connect with your customers, and have some fun. So those have been some of the biggest things that we've seen by taking this approach with driver seat and the partners and utilizing trade pending to help dealers have a quick turnaround within less than 24 hours.
I know we'll get into some more specifics here, so that's coming. And Mason, I'm going to take words out of your mouth and say, let everybody know, like the stuff that they're going to share here today, like anybody can go do on their own, right? It's not rocket science. It is creative. It is unique. It is different. And we're going to share those things, but you can also work with somebody like Driver Seat to help you get there. So thank you for that, Durran. We're going to take a step back for a moment and just like, we got to kind of bring some context here and stitch these pieces of the puzzle together. How did we all end up here today? How did you two guys meet?
Do I get to take that question?
Yeah, that's for you.
Yeah, I think that was yours.
All right, I'm going to start it off and then I'm going to let Mason take it from there. So this is one of the coolest stories. It was actually by a gentleman that most people should know, David Lewitz, who is one of the greatest people, both inside of business and outside of business. He works with trade pending as one of the sales reps, and he does an excellent job. A few years ago, David and I had connected. I want to say it was through Clubhouse, right? And so obviously, with the pandemic and everything, Clubhouse just kind of took off. And so after him and I connected, he said, hey, there's a great gentleman that you should meet named Mason, who's phenomenal. He's got a great mind like yourself. You both love marketing. I do CRM campaigns. He does CRM campaigns. You guys should link up. Maybe it could be a potential client. So I reach out to Mason. Me and Mason hit it off like this. And I'm telling him about video campaigns that I'm doing with dealers. And he's talking about what he's currently doing with dealers. And then he shows the data of what he's doing with his email campaigns and marketing. And I couldn't believe it. It was ridiculous in terms of the metrics, the click-through ratios, and the response rates. So I said, you know what? I'm not going to sell you or show you the video campaigns. I'd rather you teach me and I could learn from you. And so then fast forward to what happened at the end of last year, when we saw the market shifting and we saw there was a huge opportunity right after Mason had just got awarded for driving over 18,000 VBACs for the stores that he was currently helping. We're like, we've got to help more dealers with their acquisition and their VBAC strategy. And then kind of like the rest has been history. And I don't want to take too much from Mason, but he's been, again, just like David, just as great in the business sector as he is outside of automotive.
Mason, anything you want to add or correct in terms of what Durran has shared?
Man, Durran is he is certainly a pro at this. Durran and he and I hit it off from the very beginning. And we were both talking about the future of the marketplace and kind of where we saw things heading and the way we prepare for it. And it's like our visions were aligning. And it was almost like yin and yang, where I knew more on the financial side, how the market economics is going to move. But I'm still 1-2 years into the automotive business. So I'm really still learning that. Well, Duran's been in automotive for 15 years. So he understands that segment very well. So I think when you combine his passion and knowledge for the industry and my passion and knowledge for the market as a whole, and then look at things from a financial perspective, just almost like a business perspective, that's how we came up with products that cost little, like very, very low compared to any of our competitors. Like we're like a fifth the cost. And we did it on purpose because we want to partner with dealers and we both have that same passion.
Thank you. So we are through COVID now. Inventory levels are starting to return to normal. Obviously, there's some differences there in the makes, model, domestic versus international. What do you see happening with dealerships over the next few years? This is the big picture. Where's the big picture?
I really appreciate that question. I'm glad that we're going that direction to talk about this, because I think most experts agree we're about 6 to 9 months away from a mild or moderate recession. So the market, and I'm going to try my best not to be super economic speaking here and make it understandable, but when the market is as inflated as it is now, the only proven method that the Fed has that they've ever been able to fight inflation is to slow down the economy with rate hikes. Who gets hit really hard with rate hikes? That would be auto dealerships, because if they're starting to impact financing. There's not one person on this call who has not had trouble getting someone financed for a deal, because they went from 0% last year to now, if you've got a 750, 800 Beacon, you have a 7.5 to 11% rate. Like it's what's happening, and we're just going to have to pivot and deal with it. If history repeats itself, we're about to enter a period where most dealers are going to focus on cutting marketing spending, cutting sales professionals, cutting BDC departments, and more of that thing. Just wherever they see extra expenses or cutting off the fat, that's what they're going to do. If dealers aren't coming up with new and unique solutions to these problems, we believe that most will just do exactly what we just said, batten down the hatches and try to wait out the storm.
Yeah.
As a former salesperson and current marketer, not in automotive, but in my overall career, it always hurts me when people say, first thing we're going to cut is marketing and sales, but it is what it is. So what suggestions, advice do you have for the dealers to weather this storm?
We believe there's actually a way to achieve the same results or higher results in the middle of the recession market. We actually believe it's possible. Dealers can find or develop unique and creative approaches that we can share with you to marketing and combine it. And this is important. It has to be combined with human-driven automation, because human-driven automation is meant to make a person be multiplied exponentially in the amount of work that they can do. So we have to help set dealers up and get everybody trained on how to do this. But here's how you win. Everything is a volume play from this point until we come out of the recession. And the reason that it's a volume play is because and people that are looking at closing percentages should just go ahead and wipe that off your mind. That's not going to be the same anymore. If you got 100 people coming in to get financed and your closing percentage was 7% on those, well, now it's probably 2 to 3, because the 7 that you would have had at 0 to 7% financing are no longer getting approved for financing, or they're not agreeing to the rate. So what you have to do is you have to increase the volume. The best way we found to get volume is exactly what Durran brought up first. I'm about to tell you the tricks to it so you can have fun with it. You need to own your customer database. A lot of people pitch softwares that come in and they have all these automatic templates that they do, or they use HTML where there's a lot of pictures, or they use video campaigns. All of these things need to be wiped out of your mind. Don't think about these as that, because they're going after very specific little targets. We're talking about how to hit the whole database once a week and drive leads. It's a gold mine if you know how to use it. So here's some tips that I have. When you're setting it up, use plain text, no images, no videos, and don't sign it off as the dealership here. Pick a person at your dealership that you want to have that sign off, and then if people hit reply, it comes to that person.
It
Pick
looks like it's coming from a
fun
person. That's so
who
key.
would
It's
love to
coming
get
from a
all these
person.
emails or
Yeah.
phone calls. Exactly. It's coming from a person who wants that business, not just a company. So I'm trying to move quickly. The email needs to have a CTA. I cannot tell you how frustrating it is for me whenever I see people send out emails with no CTA. So I have nothing to click on. And now I got to go to Google, type in something that you just told me to find out how to take the next step. The next step should be a hyperlink within your text email showing them how to go to their trade pending page and get a value for their trade. 3, make it sound personal through the use of merge codes. You can, instead of saying, hey, customer, you can say, hey, insert merge code of customer first name. So it'd be, hey, Durran, or hey, John. Sounds personal. Put in 1 or 2 merge codes and they think you're talking directly to them. 4, make the content fresh and new each week. The companies that are recycling the same 2 or 3 templates are getting exhausted and their people are unsubscribing. Now, this is the most important element. If you heard nothing else, the subject line of your email matters more than what's in your email. Because if a person won't open it, or if they think it's spam or something they don't want to see, you're never going to get the rest of it in front of them anyway. So I'm going to share 4 of my top performing subject lines: follow up, vehicle replacement notification, an offer for your car, and discover your buying power. I use vehicle replacement notifications for one of our dealers. Whenever we first ran his very first campaign, it's a dealer that was averaging about 1,200 to 1,300 leads. Within 24 hours of me running my vehicle replacement notification, they were knocking on the door of 600 leads in 24 hours. By the time we finished, we doubled their volume that month. So those things I shared are very, very helpful.
Wonderful.
And I'm sorry, but I get really passionate about this because it's like my day-to-day, and I've loved it for over a decade. And I finally get to do it in the way that I know works.
It's really rewarding to hear you share not just the story and the approach, but also the fact that it really freaking works, and it works really well. So what you probably got a little bit more. So I'll run it back here real quick. So, the first thing was plain text. Number 2 was send it from a person. Number 3 was, input in people's, merge tags or first name. Obviously check your CRM and make sure all that stuff is nice and tight, and like names are like the right capitalization. And then number 4 was to vary up the content, make the subject lines really win there as well too. So what else do you have for us, Mason? That can't be it.
So, I'm going to share some 6 of our top ideas right now that we are building our company around. Obviously, I shared the initial thing with y'all, but because we love trade pending and we have a great relationship, I will just tell you all 6 things that we're building right now. And if you choose to do it on your own, good luck to you. If you want help along the way, we'd love to help you. But Matt knows I'm always coming up with new ideas, and that's why he asked me. Okay, so the first one, if you're not using this already, the power of the pixel. If you haven't heard of what a pixel is outside of maybe a little digitized image, it's actually a tracking device that you can put on your website, 100% legal. What it does is it helps you with instant gratification marketing. So imagine if you had a pixel on your site, and then it give once a week or once a month, you get emailed a spreadsheet of everyone who visited your website that did not click on a CTA or click on a call to action, which means unless you had the pixel, you would have never known who those 1,000 people were that it happened with. Once you get the pixel on your site and it runs for a month, you can start giving that list to your people who are doing your ads, and you can do retargeting ads. You can call those prospects because they're not really cold. It's kind of a warm call. You can mail to them, but just imagine these are the people that If you're closed on Sunday, they're coming to your lot, walking around, making sure a salesperson isn't there to bother them. How much would you pay to have that list given to you once a week? This pixel can be done through a group that we're connected with, Diamond Media Solutions, and it's $650 per page. I gladly paid that, and it has already paid itself back. Now with the pixel, we will also have idea number 2, which is physical mail with a digital twist. So if you think about your mail, every time you go to the mailbox and you sort through your mail, what do you open first? Is it the offer letter for a credit card from Capital One? Is it an insurance agency giving you your updates? Or is it the letter from grandma with handwritten writing on it? And then the yellow
It's the one from the
letter
tax
with
collector saying I didn't pay my taxes last quarter, right?
Well, they don't do the handwriting on the envelope, so that's where. So this is key, but we're not trying to have you hire somebody just to do this. We actually found a robotic arm that will write this on the envelope, and it will completely be handwritten. You can feel the indentation, and then mail out once a month or once a quarter to your clients that were visiting your website and offer them a discount on something sales wise.
It's called Grandma G. It's Grandma.
Amazing.
Is it Grandma GPT? Is that what it was?
Yeah, Grandma GPT. There we go.
I'll stop.
But yeah, so that's a huge one. We had two groups that did a quarterly mail to over 10,000 each. And then one group in a quarter sold 34 cars. The other one sold 26 off just doing that campaign once a quarter. The rest all move fast. Everyone needs to maximize your vendor relationships. It will shock you at the things that your vendors are capable of doing and will do because you have a package with them. But your account manager won't mention it because they don't want to have to do extra work for what you pay. Maximize your vendor relationships. Here's a fun one, and this is not one we do, but I'll tell you the name of the company that does. Add stars to your Google rating in under 1 month. I have found, after a lot of research, I found a company that was done by lawyers. It's called Dandy. And what it does is it has a software that crawls through all of your Google reviews, and it finds the little legal disclaimers or little legal problems with it, and they get it removed immediately. Their claim is that they can move 50 to 70% of your bad reviews off. So imagine if you have a 4.1 star and you go to 4.5, that's a huge difference in the eyes of consumers. So that one, I say, I'm implementing that in as many stores as I can starting next month before they start raising the price on their product. Total market domination is the 5th one, and I told you I'll have 6 for you. This is the one where instead of doing conquest all the time, where you rent the data and you have them market to an area for you, just work with a list company like Database USA, buy the whole dang Tallahassee market, which we did for 4,500, 175,000 names, and I can market to them whenever, however I want, with 400 data points of how I want to sort it. So the returns off that in 5 months, because that's how long I've been running it, 219 brand new people that were never in our CRM, but I marketed to them, showed up, and we had 76 sold in just 5 months from that. The last thing that I have, this one is probably the biggest conversational element that could be created. Dealers have to figure out a way to save on their health care, and they don't know how to do it. Most of them are hiring someone that they are friends with, or it's their friend's kid, or it's somebody selling, the insurance or the employee benefits. We have a group that we work with that, like I said, we don't even need to be involved. We'll make the introduction, and you'll save 10 to 40% a year without any change in your employee benefits, all the same. But if that's the second largest expense of dealers, they should be thinking about how to save 10 to 40% so they don't have to cut their marketing, and then they can drive that volume we're talking about. So all of this works kind of together. And I know I have maybe an attacky attitude at how I talk about things, but these things are so exciting to me because I can see how to almost make a dealership perfect in its structure, and I'm trying to get them there.
Love it. Mason, thank you for all of that, just wealth of information. We have some questions. The first one, we're going to kick it off. So there's a lot of new consumer privacy regulations that are coming. Any thoughts on how this is going to affect that pixel? The pixel, if the customer's not opting in, accepting the tracking, how does that affect the information that you're getting?
The Pixel is using a technology that is sidestepping the new law. So I've checked into that as well. They're tracking like it's not tracking cookies, that it's more it's something based upon the IP address. There's a person who Diamond Media Solutions, Jamie's the owner there. She can very quickly explain like how they're sidestepping, because that was my first question as well. I just spent 6 months getting Kraft Nissan and Infinity of Tallahassee through all the new compliance. So trust me when I say I am well versed on those. I know exactly what you can and can't do.
And if you'd like to reach out to Mason, we've got the contact information if you want more detail on that, and they'd be happy to share with you more specifics around that. Another question, when you talk about buying the data, is that a once a year that you're buying it, once like every 2 years? How often do you think about refreshing that data set if you're spending $4,500 on it?
So just think of it this way. A very good question. The lowest price is where we got our rate to, and just membership unit to. It's consider the cost at about 2 cents a name. My suggestion is to buy the whole list that you want up front and not piecemeal it to areas, because you're going to get the group higher level discount. If it were me, I would be refreshing the list once every 6 months. But you got to keep in mind that the expense at the beginning, so the first expense, is going to be the largest one, because when you refresh, you don't have to pay for the ones that are exactly the same. You're paying for the new content on there. So it's only about 10 to 20% new content, and then you get to see people taken off that are no longer in there. I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, thank you. Next question. I think this is bullet point number 5 here you were talking about. The question is, what was the second to last vendor name that you mentioned there?
What was that?
Full rating.
So I think the one about health insurance was your last one, the one before that. The data, and like you'll get a discount because I can introduce you, and like I said, we don't even have to be involved. I can make an introduction and you can handle it, or you can hire us to handle it. But Database USA is who we use, and then I use Django Mail for my distribution engine, because legally you're not allowed to take this list and plug it into your CRM. You have to use an outside distribution engine. There's definitely some canned spam compliance things you want to be aware of and cautious of, and always stay above the board for sure.
Yeah.
All right. We are approaching like 1 minute left in this thing. It's been action packed. Durran, any final thoughts or parting wisdoms from you?
Yes. Your mind should be like, whoa, where do I start? All this information. But what I want to remind everybody, no matter how well of a marketing strategy you partner with the driver's seat like us or anybody else, Mason touched on something that's so huge. You've got to make sure that everybody's aligned as well. So when you're talking about like the vendors and stuff like that, make sure you communicate your strategy, not only to your vendor partners, if you're moving towards a transition like this, but make sure you dial into your employees and your people. And so everybody knows what's happening, because the worst thing you can do is really push a new marketing effort or rebrand, do something different, and not communicate that to your people. So make sure you stay connected through communication.
If you're going to be throwing a few hundred more leads at somebody every month, they better know it's coming. Mason,
Right.
Close us down, man.
Matt, so everybody who's on this call, we were going to have a special offer for you. So if you would like to just try us out, we are no contract, we have no cancellation period. You can end it anytime you want, but let us give you a month for free, which is valued at $1,000 per store. So any and all stores that you'd want us to do this for, we'll come in, we'll guarantee 10%, but my goal is always to get it to around 30. Happy to do this for free just to show you how it works. And even better, all these other ideas I can share with you in the process.
When you say from 10%, 30%, what numbers are you referring to, Mason?
Imagine you got a dealership and you look at it, you're getting 1,000 leads a month. Whenever when we come in, we guarantee a floor of a 10% raise, which means you'll have 1,100 leads next month or your money back. But my goal is to get it to 30% each month, which will put you at 1,300 leads month over month.
Got it. Thanks so much. All right, we're going to wrap this thing up with just a couple other little nuggets here. As always, we like to say thank you for attending our webinars. If you haven't yet, go to this URL, bit.ly/wobblybird. It's all lowercase. We will mail you one of these trade pending mascots thing. There's one back there on the shelf here in the Trade Pending TV studio as well too. And as promised, here is our contact information, mostly so you can reach out to Durran and Mason here. But hey, we're happy to take your questions here too at Trade Pending. Gentlemen, thank you so much for being here today. We look forward to working with you again. We look forward to all the great work that you're doing, and we love hearing results. Keep sharing them with us in the greater world. That's it. See you guys.